Hi, I'm Jackie Gailey. I'm an attachment and bonding specialist. I was trained by Greg Keck and have gone into my own practice and have deviated somewhat from what he does. But let me tell you a little bit about attachment disorder, because it is very important to understand what these children are going through. For the first 9 months of life, the baby is in utero. He has the most intimate experience with the mother. He knows how she feels. He knows what gives her indigestion. He knows what music she likes. He knows if her boyfriend treats her badly and it's okay with her. He knows all of this because he is one with the mother, and he has no sense of reference that this is good or bad. This is the only reality that he knows. When a baby is born, he experiences the first trauma of life. That is, life outside the womb. That trauma is resolved when the baby is put on the mother's breast and he smells her, he hears her sweet voice, he is comforted by her touch. When a baby is severed forever from the only reality he knows, it is the most profound experience he will ever live through. He doesn't know what is happening to him. He is disoriented. He is longing for her. Where is she? And inevitably, the sadness settles in. She is not coming back. She is gone. She has been taken away from me. And babies react. Some babies react with depression. Some babies react with anger. Some babies act as if it doesn't bother them at all. So babies do all kinds of things in an attempt to accommodate. When that baby is placed for adoption, it is very important that everyone be aware of this, because the adoptive parents have come with an open heart. They want to give this child everything, and all the baby can accept is a thimbleful. And so already there becomes some dissonance. The adoptive parents want to give everything, and the child can only accept very little. So helping the adoptive parents go very, very slowly, letting the child be in charge of how much he can receive, is very important, because this baby has had no control in his life, and you can't give him any other kind of control except how much he will open his heart to you. A mother must always give her baby care. It is the most natural thing to hold your baby. When he cries, whether he's hungry or needs his diaper changed, or you just want to hold him because he's yours. And when you hold this new baby, this adopted baby, he may recoil from you because you're a stranger. Who are you? These babies, of course, have no words, but experientially, this is what they are going through. And so the mother needs to be very calm about this. And she needs to begin to tell him his history. You were with your birth mommy. She couldn't take care of you. I don't know why. But you know, she did take care of you a little bit. She didn't do drugs or alcohol when she was pregnant. And I know that because you were born without being positive tox. She wanted you to be with a forever mommy. The way I know that is she signed the papers that said it was okay for me to be your mommy. Many adopted children believe that if the adoptive family hadn't come, maybe my birth mother would come back. So it is very important to let the child know I didn't know anything about you till after the mommy signed the papers. And they asked her, are you sure? And the mommy said yes. Sometimes they make her come back the second day. I'm asking you again, Mommy, you sure you want to give this baby up? I have to. I can't take care of him. The baby will know no words that you are saying, but he will understand the feelings that you are expressing, and this will bring him some comfort. Because babies and young children believe that the adoptive mother is keeping them from their birth mother, it is very important that this become a part of his history. Most babies will take nurturing from the mother, and at age 2, they will begin to rebel. Why does this happen? Because the brain is developing and the child is taking in more than he ever did before. And all of a sudden, again, he's looking at this woman and thinking, who are you? Where is my mommy? And he begins to assert himself. No, I will not listen to you. And so rather than being threatened by this, the mother ought to take some comfort in knowing that she has nurtured him well, because he has gotten to the place where his brain has grown enough that he is beginning to assert his independence. How do you let him do this? In very small ways. Do you want Rice Krispies or Cheerios for breakfast? You want your blue shirt or your green shirt? He has to listen to you, but in some areas he gets a choice. When he says no, that's okay. He still does what you want. Ask him if he wants ice cream. No, I don't want ice cream. You what? Ice cream? You don't want to? Well, maybe I'll change my mind this time. But see, the adoptive mother needs to play with him around his beginning independence. Most adoptive parents become very easily threatened. They're not sure. How do I proceed? The other thing that happens is that the adoptive mother also feels that this baby is a stranger. They meet as strangers, but she becomes mixed up. I shouldn't feel this way. This is my baby. Wouldn't a regular mother feel attached to the baby to begin with? No, not necessarily. Babies are strangers even to birth mothers, and as we learn to take care of them, they become ours. And the truth is also there in adoption. So part of what you have to do is to help the mother to reattach the child to a forever mommy. Bowlby talks about the attachment cycle. In more modern terms, they're calling it the circle of security. What happens is the child has a need. He begins to express that need. Babies express it by crying. The mother attends to that need almost immediately, and the baby calms down and feels satiated. If you do this enough times, that broken circle begins to be mended. It will tear again, and there will always be scar tissue, but adopted children can grow up and be perfectly fine if we can help them to deal with these issues as they go through life. One little boy told me he will never forgive his mother. She didn't really care about him. And the reason he knew that was it took her 3 days to decide to take him home from the hospital. When I said, but you know, every baby stays in the hospital 3 days. I don't care. I still don't believe it. He was stuck at this place where he was not going to take anything from his mother. And his mother insisted on giving him things, which is not a good way to go. She should let him stew about this and let him choose to come to her. That's very hard for most parents, and I think it's extra hard for adoptive parents. But the child has to have some choices. He has to feel empowered. He has to need you. If you give him too much too soon, this will not happen. Have I gone over my time? Okay, what was the other hand? Does anybody have any questions so far? All right, let me tell you a little bit more about some of the attachment work. Most children have memories of what happened to them. They don't know what these memories mean, but as they become attached to the mother, some of this begins to surface. I had a mother who had adopted a child from China. The little girl was 18 months old. This was a single mother, and this was the most beautiful little girl you ever saw. She was dressed in just the cutest clothes and had the nicest toys. And her mother came in because she just wanted to make sure she was doing everything the way she should. And so we did some holding. I showed her how to hold the baby, and I told this little girl, look in your mommy's eyes, because the love goes from the mommy's heart to the mommy's eyes, to your heart. I don't know if she understood me, but she understood the feeling tone. And she looked in her mommy's eyes, and then she looked away. And I said to the mother, you need to move her face over just a little bit. Well, this went back and forth for a couple minutes. And then the little girl looked at her mother and closed her eyes. It's like, well, I guess I have to try a different strategy. And so I said, play peekaboo with her. And so she played peekaboo with her. She gave her a bottle, and again, this little girl wanted to hold the bottle. It's the mom's job to hold the bottle, because when the little girl wants to hold the bottle, she's saying, I'm in charge. And the mom needs to say, honey, I'm in charge. And so they played back and forth with this. She came in 3, 4, 5 times and was feeling very comfortable with this baby. And then she said, you know, I think we've gone far enough for now. And I agreed with her. And I said, you might want to come back when she's a little older, because as the brain expands, the child remembers more, and we can help process this with her. And so she was holding her baby and looking in the baby's eyes, and all of a sudden the baby started crying. And she said, Mommy, Mommy, don't go, Mommy, Mommy, don't go. And the mom started stroking her chin and said, honey, I'm right here, it's okay. No, Mommy, Mommy, don't go, Mommy, Mommy, don't go. Well, I remembered this girl had been with her birth mother until she was 3 months of age. And her mother had put her in a basket and left her on the steps of the orphanage, rang the doorbell, and ran away. What a wonderful compliment it was to this adoptive mother that this little girl already trusted her enough to begin grieving for the loss of her birth mother. It would have been wonderful if they had saved that basket and blanket to give to the little girl, but I know that isn't always possible. But this is essentially where the adoptive mother and the child meet. They meet at a grieving place, because the birth mother or the adoptive mother is grieving for the child that she doesn't have, who is not hers. And the baby is grieving for the mother she does not have. So they are meeting as strangers, and the hope is they can begin to form a union where they will become mother and child. I hope this information is helpful. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Deb Lewandowski. I'm the social worker at EAC that is the help desk coordinator, which means a lot of attachment and bonding. I want to really kind of start at the beginning about help desk umbrellas a lot of things. So it starts with, for Ohio clients, it starts with a pre-service session, which for Russia is a, well, for all of the countries, but based on Hague is a 10-hour session. Over on the table, a help desk table over there where the books are, there is a certificate that shows you exactly what is covered in that session. Jackie usually comes and speaks about attachment and bonding as well as the specialist. I speak about that as well. In China, with the 2 additional hours, Carla and Chris cover the additional 2 hours that is required in China for HEG. So during that pre-service training, we're talking a lot about attachment and bonding. We're talking about orphanage behavior. We're talking about what it's going to look like when you come home. How do you prepare the rest of your family? What is the family dynamic going to look like? How you need to take the small steps in order to have a successful adoption. Also in Ohio, and just in Ohio, we do parenting child care class. It is an EAC requirement that we follow Ohio standards and talk to people about parenting children in general, what it looks like when you go to the doctor, how it is that you deal with delays and those types of things. So that's really the initial part of how you get involved with help desk. So it's not a process that you come home with your child and all of a sudden help desk is there. Help desk was always there. It's there from the beginning. So if you're not an Ohio client and you're from any other part of the country, we start out with what I call a referral call. So I receive a list from Cheryl in the referral department of those people that accept referrals. And I also receive a travel chart from Luda from those people that are getting ready to travel. So in Russia, in between the time I received the list from Cheryl and the time I received the list from Luda, I'm going to be making a call to those clients and that family and letting them know, talking to them about attachment and bonding and tips that you can do while you are in country to better attach to your child. Little things like making sure that, while you're there, making sure you're making eye contact, brushing their hair, rubbing their back, laying on the floor, bringing pictures of what is going to become familiar to them in their new home. That's the connection. That's a connection already. So we're talking about those kinds of things, talking a little bit about, again, adjustment of what it's going to look like when they get home, and how it is that they're going to stay attached to their children that are already at home while they're gone. So we talk about all those things. Then and in China, we do it a little bit differently. I coordinate with Chris and we look at the wall in China when people are getting ready to travel, and so they're already done with their paperwork. I'm going to give them a call and we're going to talk about the same stuff. I like to call that a referral call. After the referral call comes a welcome call. The welcome call is when I get a list from Jill, and there's also a sample over there by the books, she's going to tell me those adoptions that have been completed. Once the adoptions are completed, I'm calling the families up again. Hi, it's me again. Calling to see if you, now that you are home and you're in the midst of it all, whether you have any questions about attachment and bonding. How is attachment and bonding going for the entire family dynamic? Because we all know if something happens to one person in the family, it's happening to all the rest of you. It's a family dynamic. Everybody has to work together to be successful. So what's going on with your kids at home? How are they accepting it? How are they adjusting? What's going on? Let's talk about it. We're talking about it on the phone together, and we're coming up with some conclusions. In between the referral call and the welcome call, I'm also talking about something called lockdown, which I talked to the Ohio clients about in pre-service. I call it lockdown. Lockdown to me is, at EAC, we have a requirement when parents come home that one parent is going to stay home for 8 weeks with your child. The reason I call it lockdown is, Jackie had talked a little bit about attachment. She's seeing people that are aware that they're having attachment issues. I'm not seeing people that have any clue about what attachment issues look like. They may be coming home from Russia today and leaving for Hawaii tomorrow. Not a really good plan. So lockdown is supposed to signify that you need to stay home. Stay home with your children. You can go to international adoption appointments. You could go to medical appointments. You can go to those types of appointments. What you're trying to do during lockdown is, and when we talk about that infancy and what the biological looks like in mom to the breast and in the womb, and so that isn't happening for these children anymore because they're not with their biological mother. So they need to reattach. So the family that they're coming home to is not any different and looks just like any other stranger out in the street. So the goal of the 2 months is to make sure that you're using that attachment time. You're staying home. That means don't go to the supermarket. Don't go to the park. Don't go to the playground. Don't have all of your family come over. Because guess what it's called? In the world of psychology, it's called overstimulation. They can't handle all that. They're scared. They're coming here and they're totally scared. I mean, you have to put yourselves in their shoes. They were in 4 walls of an orphanage. All of a sudden they're in Moscow or they're in Beijing and they're out and about, and now they're on a plane and now they're here, and every single thing in their world is new. Okay, for parents that go there, the only thing they're losing is, they're going over there and they're not sleeping in the same bed and eating the same food. They still have their cell phone, and we made all the arrangements for them. So as adults, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. It's scary as hell. And so it's my goal really to educate parents about how scary it is for them so that they can better understand why it is that they need to do some of the things that they need to do. Spend the time during the day getting to know them by reading or soothing or, a lot more of the massaging and the brushing the hair and making the eye contact and the peekaboo. Those are fun things that don't look like attachment, but we're having fun. So in those welcome calls, we're talking about all that and how you can engage your other children in the home to engage these children that are coming home that are going to be their siblings. How are we, you want them to be a good big brother or sister? Well, you need to help teach your brother and sister what the rules are in our house. Teach them about things that they don't know. Teach them some English words for the Russian word that they may be saying. I mean, we're now, we don't want resentment. We're not trying to build resentment. We're trying to build cohesion. And so it's really crucial, very crucial. After the welcome call is made, we also have what I call courtesy calls, and you will also see charts over there. For those post-adoption reports, which Rose will be talking about, in Russia it's 6/12/24/36. In China it's 6 and 12 if you can provide proof of citizenship. If you can't do that, it's every 6 months thereafter. In Guatemala, I'm so unfamiliar, I believe 6/12/24/36. So for Russia, because I also work in Russia post-placement and I help Rose out by calling social workers to make sure all of those reports are in on time, I am reading every single one of those 6/12/24/36 month reports, and I'm calling every single one of those clients. Just touch and base. Want to remind you about the help desk. However, if there's something in the report that crosses my eyes that looks like it's an issue, and here is I'm going to pass out a list of issues. If it looks, sorry, I'll go back to the mic, but you won't hear me. Or you might, because I'm pretty loud. If it looks like it is an issue, I'm going to address that issue in the conversation where we're talking about help desk. Sometimes they don't know it's an issue. The conversation could be prolonged, and then we find out all kinds of issues while we're on the phone. I'm addressing all of those issues one by one so that they're really understanding what it's all about. In China and Guatemala, what usually happens is that I receive a list from Chris and I received a list from Sarah. I email all of those clients letting them know that we received their post-adoption reports. If they have any questions, the help desk is available, so I respond to their emails if they do have questions, and if necessary, I call them if there are issues that need to be discussed. What Chris and Sarah will usually do, which is a little different than Russia, is that they will bring the reports that they feel have concerns directly to me. So that's how we deal with courtesy call. And we're forever reminding people about the resource, help desk resource to call anytime. You're also talking about help desk reaching parentals. Jennifer from the Annex does a very good job of reading all of those parentals that are required every single month for the first year. For the second and third years, every quarterly for years 2 and 3. So what Jennifer does is read through those. If she sees any concerns in those, she brings those to my attention, and I will contact those people as well. So we're always talking about help desk, so it starts all the way over here and goes all the way around here, first full circle. While we're talking about full circle, we definitely need to talk about attachment and bonding. I think it's really crucial. You heard from Jackie. Attachment and bonding starts in the womb. So what's going on with children that are in an orphanage is, yes, they saw their mother, they attached in the womb, they lost their mother, they went, if they're lucky, to a hospital where some of their individual needs were met, and if that did not happen, they went to an orphanage where their individual needs per se are not being met. You know, there are how many children in an orphanage? It's almost impossible for every single one of their individual needs to be met. It's more like a factory. Right now we're eating, right now we're pottying, right now we're sleeping. That's how it works. We're on that routine because we have to be. So they're coming to you in that routine. For them to come to you is kind of scary. So, I mean, what they're really learning when they're in the orphanage is that they don't really need adults. That's the scary thing. And so it's our job to teach parents when they come home that you have to teach them that they do need adults. And so we saw that attachment cycle. They have a need. It's your goal as a parent to meet the need. As they continue to see you meeting that need, they start to become secure and trust that you're different than the stranger out there. You must be somebody really important in their life because you're meeting the need. Once you meet the need and they're feeling secure, now you got some attachment building. Because I get to see the parentals where, oh, well, we've always known one another and we've been attached since we laid eyes on each other. Not humanly possible. All right? So it's a lot of education going on about how it is that you need to meet the need. And listen, it's very confusing for parents because we've got a language barrier going on. So the children can't even tell you that they are totally scared in here. And as a professional, I'm just saying to you, if they're totally scared in here, you're going to see a lot of behaviors out here that people are going to say, well, they're tantruming or it must be their terrible twos. It doesn't have anything to do with terrible twos. They didn't have any normalcy in their life yet. And they have more, absolutely more trauma than most of us adults will see in our entire lifetime before they even come to the United States. And so what we need to really be teaching these parents is, and what I try to do is every day, is teach them that put yourself in the shoes of this child. They're very scared. They don't have any language to tell you what is going on with them, and it's very difficult for them to cope, and you're a stranger. So the goal in that 2-month lockdown period is to get them to know that you aren't the stranger. You're their parents, so that they can start to trust. And when they start trusting, you could see that some of those behaviors that you're seeing, sleep issues, eating issues, temper tantrums, no, all of those things start to dissipate because now they trust that you said something, you did it, they mark your word for it, they're really understanding about what is going on. So I think it's really important when you're talking about that to give them tips along the way, and as we talk on the phone, give them tips about how to deal with certain situations so that they're increasing that attachment. Dealing with friends and family during the lockdown period is another fun thing. So I always tell them just to have your friends and family call me so I could really explain the attachment cycle. You know, the importance of the attachment cycle before I end is it starts in infancy and it's who we become as adults. It's how confident you are in yourself and how it is that you relate not only to your parents and your immediate family, but the outside world. And so it's very crucial. And it really starts at the point that they go to the orphanage. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Speed talking? Thank you.